years ago,
Okay.
long before we met. Are you working with any of the hotel brands? Because part of this is so, and let's use the 800-pound gorilla. Let's use Marriott. Okay, that's the gold standard. Their inspectors every 5 years, 7 years, they're doing what's called a PIP, a property improvement plan. So, do you work hand in hand with the brand to help them establish some of those needs and wants that have to be done per the ADA laws? Or do you come back as somebody working with the owner and the designer and going, hey, wait a minute, we've already covered this, but you've taken it like 20 yards farther, and it should really be this based on current law? I mean, how do you
Especially in the state of
interact with them?
California.
And, what, if you can you tell us what brand you're approved with?
Sure. So from beginning to end is really where we come in. From plan check when they're building, we want to weigh in with the architect to make sure that all of the ADA laws, a lot of the older firms, or if they're using a firm that's out of state, don't necessarily know what our current laws are. So we'll weigh in on that.
Right, because you've got a federal and you've got California state law, which is far more intense, and the national one is based on our laws, as I recall.
Sure. So, and then we have local jurisdictions.
And
We
then
have
you have
the local
additional-
so we combine all of those, looking for the most restrictive, and then apply it to that property. And that's where people get confused. They'll say, "I'll just get a list from the internet," and then they think they can follow it, not realizing they needed to cross-code it. It may not be the most restrictive.
Well, and sometimes the solutions that they think they will use to pursue something or to fix something may not be the most cost-effective solutions.
Yeah.
Right. So in the hotel industry, we'll also go in and work with the people that do the inspections, because they're used to they have a very, they're standardized, and we go in and take a look at what they have and what their standards are, and help them when they're going to be making the changes, help with that. As far as the designers, we go in because we want to make sure when they're designing, it looks great on paper, but does it really function for a disabled person? And there's 3 different types of disabled rooms that you need to have based and dispersed within the property. So we want to make sure they're dispersing them correctly. We want to make sure that they're really giving these the amenities that they need, and weighing in on that, because we don't want to just make it look pretty, but it really needs to function.
Yeah, you can't take all those rooms and put them in one corner of the property, and then basically have that corner of the property maybe back up on the parking lot when you basically are close. So no, but I mean,
I've seen that. Yeah.
Right. And
That's why I was laughing. I've seen it too.
I crossed it off the list. It's included, right?
Yeah,
yes,
it's here.
But by putting it where you put it, instead of dispersing it, and you may have competing powers that are trying to push you in that direction. I'm not saying putting a call on designers. It could be owner operator that's not educated. But what you're doing is you're basically discriminating, because you basically compartmentalize old people, all handicapped rooms in one corner of the property, looking over the parking lot.
That's correct. And I'm glad that you bring up discriminating, because people don't realize that the lawsuits that are out there for ADA, it's a discrimination
It's a federal
lawsuit.
discrimination
So they always
lawsuit.
write, they weren't harmed. They didn't come to my establishment. Well, a lot of times they don't need to, because they could see based on pictures and Yelp and social media that barrier existed. Therefore, they feel discriminated against, that they're not able to enjoy
And
that
the burden
establishment.
is on you to prove that you have no intent to discriminate.
Right.
That's absolutely right.
It's really kind of an interesting dilemma, and
Yeah.
if you're not aware and clear enough, or have the professionals that you need advising you, you may be putting yourself in a high-risk situation for somebody that doesn't even have to be on your property to file.
Right. So we become a part of their team, an expert in that area, so that everyone else can do their job. And we also look at how the staff is run and how they're going to interact with the disabled and enjoy. So it's not just CASP inspections. We really kind of expand on educating
Operations.
the operations
Graders,
of sure. And when you see something, what you can do and how you can help them, because at the end of the day, we really do want to make all of those facilities accessible to a disabled person, so they can enjoy this.
It's funny. I'm sort of maybe a side question here, Tracy. But do you find that it is sometimes an issue of discomfort based out of the unknown and the fear of the unknown?
Yes, that is. When we talk about the report, I don't want to have that because then I'm going to have to fix everything. Well, if a disabled, and they put everything into one category, a disabled person is only a person in a wheelchair. They forget that there's a wide area
People have been saying you and I are disabled for years.
Yeah, but they don't say it to our face, because they know what would come next. Paul's sitting there nervous. Yeah, they should be.
Yeah, he's afraid somebody's going to pick up something and throw it. Yeah.
No, but you're right. I mean, especially when you have an aging population, you have degeneration, vision degeneration, you have hearing impairment, you have things like that. It is not just where you got able-bodied and people with physical disabilities. You have a whole range of things.
Right. The mentality of a lot of people are it's you can walk or you're in a wheelchair and that's disabled. They're not thinking about, if you look at a loose carpet and they say, well, the chair can roll over that. Yeah, but what if you're in a walker and you're scooting along, you're going to trip over that.
And it's not just the client side of the desk, people. It's also the employee of the desk.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Why, after the city inspects your property or business, are they not compliant with ADA?
One of the questions I get asked every single day is, I'm fine, the city came in and inspected. Well, if you think about when you're being inspected by a city, they're looking at your walls to make sure they won't fall down. Yep. It's very job specific.
Yeah.
They're not coming in to look at how your business is run, how you set up your furniture, and how people are going to maneuver around. So it's a big misconception because nowhere in their inspection did it ever say you're now ADA compliant. And the problem with that is cities are looking at the California Building Code. They're not necessarily looking at ADA, which is federal. Now, there are some of those codes that kind of cross into each other.
Public bathrooms, common areas.
But even things in public bathrooms isn't necessarily right. So that's the confusion, and I understand where that confusion has come in. And with this new bill that has just passed, the AB 3002, I think we're going to see in the next 5 years that it's going to kind of clear up. What that really means is that now when you go into the city to pull a permit for any alteration or a new build, they're now going to, and I'll say in quotes, strongly encourage you to get a CASP inspector involved. They want you to do that so that you now know what you're going to come up at the end of a construction. Because right now, contractors are going to say, you're good, but a lot of times when we'll see a complete build, we go in and we find lots of items.
Let's dive into this AB 3002 and let's specifically look at already established. Let's exclude new construction. That's a different animal. Let's say we've got an operating hotel. It's 20 years old. We got an office building like this one that's 50 years old plus, or a retail center.
Sure.
And they're doing some renovations. And how does this...
When does this trigger?
Yeah, when does this trigger?
Sure. So the first thing they're going to say is, I'm grandfathered and I don't have to do anything. So we'll clarify that there's no grandfathering in the ADA. But with the 3002, when you make any alteration, now each jurisdiction is going to roll this out differently. So I have spoken to quite a few of them, and some of them are going to put a $10,000 limit. So when you're making an alteration, pulling a permit, and it's going to be $10,000 or more, they're going to trigger that you make it mandatory. Mandatory, encouraged.
It's just a hardship assist under $10,000. If you're on $10,000 or more, now you should be able to afford whatever needs to be done.
Some of the cities, or jurisdictions, I should say, are going to roll it out right away and just say, we're tired of businesses coming in and trying to blame us that you didn't know, so they're going to make it strongly encouraged, basically you better do it to get a CASP inspection.
Now, let me jump in here for a second. Okay, now, we just recently painted a hotel. Okay, and it cost $100,000 to paint the exterior. So now, is that going to trigger the CASP?
Do you have to pull a permit to paint your building?
Probably.
No, you don't need to pull a permit. It only when you're making an alteration. So that's really
okay. So if I'm not opening up any walls now, if I'm repairing, putting in new windows on top of that, and all of that because of sound issues.
I think the benchmark really is the permit pull, because if you are pulling permit on anything, it triggers.
It triggers.
And I mean, I won't say where, but I shared this with you. I recently worked on a project where they were redoing a restaurant in a hotel property, and that hotel basically had been redone recently, and then there was a change with the
and it was
with an ambulatory. Give him something to put in his mouth. Okay, an ambulatory bathroom requirement, in addition to the handicap stall. Right, and we had to actually find a place to make that happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have held off and derailed a multi-million-dollar renovation, soft goods renovation on a project.
That's correct. That's
Because we pulled a permit, it was subject. It's interesting that you use the word the cities will strongly recommend, because I think when they strongly recommend and they put that in their paperwork that they strongly recommend, they have covered themselves, indemnified themselves from issue. However, the person who then is up to them whether they apply it or not and they get a cast person or not, well, it's on them.
That's correct.
But they've eliminated their ability to come back to the city and go, well, you didn't tell me.
Right.
Which never happens, right? Nobody ever says that.
Nobody
Yeah.
ever says that.
Right. So if you look at how that bill was written, and it says strongly encouraged, but
I love the line. I'm laughing.
But basically, when you go to pull that permit, the city is going to say strongly encouraged. You better get it before you get your final.
Sounds like a bunch of politicians wrote it.
Right.
No.
That's why I say the strongly encouraged
Yeah.
with some quotes there, because you don't know how your jurisdiction is going to roll that out. Eventually, I think that it will just become a mandatory part of.
No, I think it's a very smart thing because it goes back to that same situation. Is in terms of being proactive in protecting your business. I think this is a step. It's like you tent a building and you fumigate. You might not have exact evidence of termites, but you know that your building is made out of
Right.
wood framing. I mean, after 10 years or whatever, it makes sense. And then the added layer, which you and I have had this conversation, ADA is always regarded as being an albatross around somebody's neck. It's a hindrance. I don't want to deal with it. Oh my God, somebody's forcing me. Big Brother's trying to force me to do something. In an aging population nation, where you have people with varying degrees of ability,
Right.
you are a smart business if you actually apply some of the principles of ADA or universal design in order to better accommodate a larger population. And it could be a differentiator between you and a competition. If you start looking at it as an opportunity, empowerment, versus only a hindrance and a barrier,
Right.
then you may have actually justifications to put into your annual budget modifications that would meet that. It makes your property more sustainable for a larger market, for a larger potential audience, longer.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I'm trying to put this twist on it because we keep talking about this topic as being a problem. Yeah, it is. But I mean, if you switch your thinking, you may actually look at it as an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. It's not a problem. And for anybody who wants to know that's only getting the radio feed of this, that was my partner, Rad Gantos, bouncing those words around of problem and a few other things. So you can contact him here at the radio station.
Yes, I like to get people's attention. So now that your
Leave me
attention
out of
has
that
been gotten,
conversation.
do yourself a favor.
Oh, gosh. Okay, AB 3002 came into effect January this year.
It's true.
And
Most
does
people don't have a
each
clue what it stands for.
county,
Yeah.
city, municipality have X amount of time to start rolling it out, or did they all have to roll it out
question.
January 1st?
January 1st, they needed to have all of the written material. So when you come in to apply for a permit, and they also needed to have it up on their site
Site, okay.
so that there's an understanding that when you're going through that construction process, that information is available to you.
Okay, now what about education for the city inspectors and planners? Did they have to go through a program and get certified that they understand this?
What it is that they're
or
enforcing?
is it more just, well, I'm kind of guessing here and let me flip a coin?
Here's another brochure.
I've
Like the
seen,
NFL. Here, let me throw the
I've
coin
seen the
up.
brochures, and it basically says to
Get an expert.
contact a CASP expert.
Yeah.
That's what it says. They're going to, again, defer. Go ask them what it is and why you need it. Some of the cities, they just don't have time or the
and
money
or
to
the
do
staff.
that.
Yeah,
or the
absolutely.
staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of them, they're not all like Anaheim or Los Angeles, okay? A lot of them, the smaller cities, let's say, I'm just going to pick one arbitrarily. I apologize if I'm wrong, but let's say, West Covina, okay? They do not have inspectors on payroll, they contract that out. So it's an independent contractor. So, this goes on, and where does it stop? How do you make sure that the inspectors and the planners, are all
Plan checkers sometimes are contracted out too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how do we make sure?
A lot of the larger jurisdictions do have a CASP to look at some of the plans and hopefully catch, but it's not for every job. And I think that's where the problem is coming in. I was glad to see that this was happening because at least people will understand why, and it's going to eliminate the question of, why didn't the city tell me? Well, now they are. They're deferring you to a CASP expert, and it's a good idea to do it so that you can make a plan. Most businesses, I will tell you guys, when they see the report, and they get sued, they want to say, I would have done this if I've known. And there's so many things, move a trash can. There's so many things that they can do, and they really want to. Most businesses really want to comply. They just don't know what they need to do.
Well, they have that fear that the minute I open that can of worms, I'm going to have a bigger problem. It's going to be more costly. But again, better to know.
Right.
Than to be living in this sort of denial and at the same time just kind of blinders on.
Yeah, an attorney did say to me that, ignorance of the law is not a good defense, so we don't...
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So, it's, that's why you get consultants. That's why, and help me out. I'm forgetting your phrase from last year on consultants.
Oh. It's actually the phrase that transitioned from last year to this year. We had
we're holding it over.
Last year's phrase was all sizzle, no steak. Okay, but then at the end of last year and has carried over into this year is good people pay good hard money to bad consulting every day. How do we know? Because they call us to fix it. Right? So be careful that not all things are equal. Make sure that you look at people that are looking to help you, because especially when the economy is booming and everybody's busy and all this stuff, you're like, lucky, I got a call back from somebody and they call me back. Yeah, but look a little bit deeper, because you may be actually paying some good money for a boilerplate instead of an actual genuine look at your particular situation.
Assessment.
I think that to give my company a little plug there, is that makes us stand out a little bit different than others. There are a lot of independent inspectors that are thank you that are giving a report and they're going on to the next inspection, and I think that that's giving a disservice to our clients. I follow up with them. I tell them, once you meet me and you come on board, you're not getting rid of me. I'm going to follow up and give you the latest codes. I'm going to help you, go through that report. I don't want you to be afraid of it. Some of the reports are quite large, and I'm going to help you break it down so that little by little, don't look at the entire report, how we can break it down to do the little things. And then I follow up with them and make sure they're doing okay.
Well, and this is, if I'm understanding how this is laying out here, this is becoming a requirement. A requirement that is on you to basically either follow through with or not if you are doing any kind of renovation, if you're doing anything that basically that falls under this umbrella. And it's interesting because that means that a lot of people that are, I'll use this word because I don't know, another one's coming to mind right now, boiler room approaches, are going to basically look at this as a repetitive model revenue generator. So you're going to have people cold calling. It's just like with double glazed windows or solar panels or whatever. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to reach out and try to get you to understand that you need to do this. And it may be, fill out the form, fill out this thing, we'll send you the report. And then in that report you go, okay, I'm covered. But what you're getting is basically 7 pages of boilerplate and 2 pages with your name and logo on it.
Of exceptions of what they're going to cover.
Rather than specifically looking at your particular situation, which could lead to either more money that you need to spend because it doesn't really apply, but you're just now panicking and doing it, or it may be completely useless and you basically spend money on that consultation for nothing. So make sure that you evaluate the people that help you, because it is super important. Garbage in, garbage out. You're going to get the quality you get from the people if they are quality consultants.
Yeah, and with your firm, it's a little bit different from some of the others out there. As you'd mentioned earlier, there's some that specifically deal with commercial, some deal with just residential. Now, you're doing a full spectrum across the board. So it's hospitality, it's retail, it's office building, it's residential, it's multifamily, on and on and on. You've got to be exceedingly busy working with some of the insurance carriers out there with all the different food groups as well. So are you educating the insurance side of it as well? Because
I am.
I know when besides the PIP, we get an annual inspection on our property from our insurance carrier.
Right.
I think 60 to 90 days before, and a list of things that we have to comply with. So.
I just met with a large insurance carrier, and one of their big questions is after someone's been sued, typically that insurance carrier would not want to insure them. That's how insurance works. Once they see the liability, they don't want to deal with you anymore, or they would drop you. In this case, they're trying to change their mentality because after someone has received a CASP inspection, they want to, give them benefits and incentive to go down. And the other is to, they realize that now that client has a plan. And once they have that plan, then they can then evaluate whether they have risk or not.
Right.
So we're helping the underwriters evaluate that risk based on the report.
Yeah.
And bring that insurance and allow that company to now have insurance.
That could have been our sponsor.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where our
Yeah,
engineer
so
went.
if you guys are,
Sorry,
are
our phone was
listening,
ringing, and you're hearing Allstein.
It's an odd circumstance. So
Yeah.
the phones. Whoever call back. Give us
a couple of minutes.
and then
Yeah.
Call back. You kept bringing in the word residential. I had everybody comfortable. We're talking about commercial. We're talking about hospitality. We're talking food and beverage,
Yeah.
and then you throw in the word residential. So we talked about multi-units.
Yes.
And you and I actually explored this a little further, again, from the perspective of aging population or multi-generational housing.
Right.
That some of these things right now are not yet mandatory in the part of, in residential environment. However, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I see the writing on the wall. We are, and a lot of people out there that are impacting, whether it's, room additions, residential designers, stuff like that. Go educate yourself, because this
Right.
is something that's going to possibly be more and more, especially in the state of California, more and more a reality that we will have to face in any built environment, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. It is going to be that's why a lot of the inspectors that are residential, that's all that they do. The majority of what I deal with is commercial, and that's just because that's, the beast that we've been trying to, contain right now. But those that do that, I wouldn't send every inspector on a residential inspection.
No, and I think, again, it's that opportunity situation. If you are designing for a family, a new home that is an expensive location, affluent family, you may want to start thinking about, okay, well, down the road in a couple of years, 5 to 10 years, is somebody going to take care of a parent? Is somebody going to basically have a multi-generation? And again, it's not just about aging. We have an active community. I mean, people surf, people rock climb, things like that. Sometimes, if you're spending good money on an asset development in a home, which is your primary asset, and you have the opportunity and the space to do so, you may be better off basically designing for contingencies.
Right. Well, we are not talking about a single
You're taking a multi-unit.
resident. It's all
Right.
multi-unit, but absolutely.
I mean, multi-generation housing for single-family homes is a big market, especially in certain areas. In Irvine, there's a lot of multi-generational housing.
Right.
Now, those are going in through a big developer that basically hopefully has layers of expertise that is going into the design process and the execution, that it's accounting for something like that.
Right.
You would think. A couple of years ago, I remember touring a property, and I'm not going to. It's a large, single-family, senior living developer. It was not in the state of California, but it is a well-known developer. And I went into what's supposedly a senior housing. And I will tell you, there were things in there that had nowhere close to minimal requirements for ADA that would have been smart to incorporate into that product.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's the assumption is that it is a known thing, not necessarily.
That's
out there.
correct.
Yeah.
And a lot of the contractors don't realize the value of us. So I'm, always out talking to them because I really want them to make sure that they're adding us into there so that they can then add that as value to their client.
If they're smart to do, yeah.
Right.
Right.
I said, listen, if you add this and they know that they're going to be covered, that's something you can add to your, the benefit of using you as opposed to another contractor who may not be.
Right.
Hence-
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to take a
Yeah,
break.
our engineer's having some technical difficulties, but everything's getting back on track. And we're going to go to a commercial right now. And when we come back, we will be checking in with Rod Apodaca of CBRE Hotels. Thank you.
From Eureka to San Diego, from Malibu to Bakersfield, the California Lodging Investment Conference, CLIC, is a one-of-a-kind conference focusing exclusively on our Golden States hotel market. CLIC was launched in 2016 to harness the knowledge of our industry leaders, support our community, and educate emerging talent. CLIC brings together lodging professionals from California and beyond for one day of learning, professional development, and networking. If you're in the California hotel market or plan to be, you should attend CLIC 3 on March 7th, 2019 at the Westin South Coast Plaza Hotel. We invite you to check out the California Lodging Investment Conference website at cliconference.com for the latest details. Early registration now open, and as a listener of the Checkout California radio show, please make sure to use our exclusive discount code of CLIC, C-L-I-C, when registering for this one-of-a-kind California hospitality event that's sold out the last 2 years.
Hi, this is Ryan Huntsman with Chicago Title Company, located in beautiful Newport Beach, California. We're a national hub for our company, so we service the entire nation very efficiently with one of the largest national footprints in the industry. As part of the Fidelity family of companies, we get to enjoy and boast about being ranked number 302 on the Fortune 500 list. We're very proud of our tenured staff as they handle some of the most complex and high liability transactions across the country in a very professional and pragmatic fashion. Finally, many people are unaware of all the ancillary services that our Fidelity family of companies has to offer, including 1031 exchanges, UCC services, home warranty services, and much more. So if you haven't created a strategic partnership with a solid title company representative, I urge you to reach out to myself or someone else at Chicago Title to get the most of what we have to offer. Thank you.
And we're back. I'm Craig Sullivan.
And I'm Rod Gantis.
And this is Checkout California. We've got Mr. Rod Apodaca from CBRE Hotel. So it is time for the checking in with Rod. How are you, Rod?
Great, gentlemen. How are you doing this afternoon?
We are good. So are you turning and burning? Are you putting deals together? What's going on out there, my friend?
Well, I'm actually trying to recover a bit from Ellis.
We got a recovering ride.
I went through that.
but
no judgment.
Starting Sunday through early Wednesday, complete compact days, meeting after meeting. I guess we set aside 3 suites each day. And we run anywhere between on the half hour, on the hour running between principals.
Right.
Having them come in and then introducing either what their new interests are or talking specifically about deals we have on the market. And I think what I can tell you, the takeaway, first of all, I think they had a record attendance this year is what they were reporting. It was interesting because and Craig, you may have been a witness to this, although they had a record attendance, the lobby just didn't feel as thick as it normally does, and I think we had a lot more people probably attending a little bit more of the conferences, getting a sense of what was going on in the marketplace.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. And so finding people was a little bit easier, but still quite a big turnout. I think the sentiment of what we're hearing is that, cautious optimism, I think, has been the going phrase now for the past couple months.
Yeah.
We've been on a tear again for 7-8 years in RevPAR growth, and we are projecting not a decline in RevPAR, but a decline in the growth rate that RevPAR has been moving at. Nothing negative, still positive. All of the indicators still point to a very strong market, and there is definitely active buyers out there, albeit just a tad more cautious than they were maybe and during the fourth quarter of last year.
Now, you're not seeing a rush to deploy cash at this point. So everybody is being more cautious. They're really are we still seeing some issues, or is it getting to be a bigger issue, I should say, that expectations between seller and buyer?
That's always a fun gap to try and bridge.
Right.
I think sellers are still having early 2018 expectations.
Okay.
I wouldn't say all sellers, but there is a handful out there. There are others that realize that where are we on the curve, and is it time to take my profits off the table and leave something a little more for the new guy coming in as enticement. And we are seeing that in a couple of the deals we have on the market where there absolutely is room in both top line and bottom line, depending on the deal.
Good.
Some reposition opportunity. And we still see, maybe not so surprising, still a strong interest in development.
Yeah.
So I was approached by a number of different groups at Ellis looking for strategic sites, locations, simply because the cost per room is so much to buy an existing asset. They have the capacity and the ability to build and are willing to go out there.
Right.
We've got, 5 development deals on the table right now, one being the Rams football stadium, the only hotel site there. And we're down to a couple candidates, which I think we'll have a decision here in the next couple weeks. We have deals as diverse as Simi Valley and San Marcos and in Fresno, where the right guy is stepping up, feels that the markets are right for their type of product, and pricing is such that it's attractive. So no lack, I think, of available capital, obviously subject to the right deal.
Rod, are you seeing that interest in that from that capital going towards a different product mix or a certain size, or like urban versus has there been a change in that at all with this?
No, I don't see it. I think as you move up the dollar range, the lower dollar ranges tend to continue to be the vast majority of activity. If you look at 2018, just like 17, 2/3 of the market was in that 15 million or less, and the remaining third is spread out from 15, 20, all the way up. I think the highest volatility of activity in that 20 million and above is going to be between 20 and probably 40 million. Right, and when you start getting up above that 40 million range, the available assets and the type of buyers in relationship to the related yields that some of these sellers are expecting, tends to thin out. But I think the product type, still top shelf, select service, will garner a lot of attention first, and then the others, will phase out as you go down. We launched last week a Residence Inn portfolio with 4 assets in California.
Nice.
3 of them here in Southern California. All have Marriott branded for 15 years and will be Marriott managed. And even though the management is coming with the properties, there's still a large amount of players that are trying to get into the Southern California market and are very interested in the portfolio.
Now, is that going to be across the board? Is that going to be, or just institutional grade, Wall Street companies that, we've got no issue with, the brand self-managing?
It's quite diverse. There are high net worth families that don't want the management and typically tend to go to third-party management companies anyway. And, and in this example, they have the benefit of having a highly respected and regarded management company in Southern California in the form of Marriott Corporation.
Right.
So, the buyer pool is diverse, and it's not easy to say, well, I expect this exact type of buyer to be coming in. It's going to be quite a bit across the board. And with having Marriott in place and the guarantee on the franchise agreement, financing becomes readily available. So I think, based on the response, I think we're going to have a good turnout. You can buy them either individually or as a group, and the portfolio itself, I think, lends itself on a blended rate when you're in the mid-sevens cap range for a Marriott product. It's going to get the attention.
Absolutely. Any new listings to share with us this week, Rod?
Well, the Residence Inns I just announced. Those are the most current. We still have, we're going through right now either accepting offers or marketing the Hilton Garden Inn in San Diego, the Red Lion in Anaheim, right by Disneyland.
Sure. Yep.
An interesting aspect. And then also 4 Points at LAX. Our call for offers are tomorrow on that deal.
Very good.
And I'm leaving out the DoubleTree in San Bernardino. That's an excellent opportunity for repositioning. That's, a lot of the properties you're seeing are encumbered one way or the other, like the Residence Inn portfolio will be encumbered by management.
Right.
The 4 Points at LAX has union.
Yep.
San Bernardino is non-union, fee simple, no ground lease associated with it, so it's a pretty straightforward, clean deal, and offers upside for people. So, at the Alice conference, a lot of books out there of a lot of properties in the books.
Yep.
All the houses. I think owners are seeing an opportunity that 2019 is probably going to be a good year to exit. And for buyers that are looking for Southern California properties, I think we're probably going to see the most properties we've seen available in Southern California in quite a while.
Interesting.
So,
Well,
and a little bit of everything.
That's good to hear. And, especially with your new team working that, 15 million and below transaction, you should be very, very busy this year, my friend. And I am expecting you to bring lots of listings to the 3rd Annual California Lodging Investment Conference on March 7th here in Orange County. So,
Which is produced by who?
by me. Well, I can't take all the credit. I do have an outside producer, Arnie Garfinkel at the All Star
Shout
Group.
out to Arnie.
So, yeah.
Is there a start time in the morning for that, or a website maybe someone ought to look towards?
Well, yeah, it's
Funny
funny
you
you
should ask.
ask. Yeah, you can check in at 9:00, and Rod and his team are registered, so they will be there. You'll get a chance to meet Rod in person, and Rod knows this. That I mean this in the absolute highest form of a comment. He looks like a producer, okay? He's got the sunglasses. He surfs a lot, except for right now. I think he's staying out of the water because of the rain. And he's always got the best looking suit on. Mm-hmm. So that will be Rod Apodaca. So yeah.
I think he's doing coffee chat in the morning.
I think he is. So, but yeah, you can go to cliconference.com and register. The early registration discounts go away on the 7th, so I would encourage everybody
Is there a code to use for that?
Well, right now, yes, you can get a discount, and the discount code is CLIC, capital CLIC. So
he's on top of his game, Rod, don't you think?
Well, he is, and I would strongly recommend those that are active in the industry attend this conference. It's kind of a who's who that's there. It's not as big as Alice. I can't get you that type of of compliment, but it is very well attended, very informative. There's always deals in play. There's always activity going on. As Craig said, I will be there with my team, Matthew Inman, who's out of the Newport Beach office, and Michael Jockey, who's out of the LA office. They have been extremely active working different deals. Matter of fact, we have a call for offers with Matthew in our San Marcos development site tomorrow.
I was going to ask you about that.
Good.
Awesome.
And that should be interesting. That site is approved for either a Homewood or a Courtyard, so two great brands potentially could go there.
love it.
And sellers very motivated to move forward, and it's a relatively easy approval process with the city of San Marcos, so we're excited about that.
I will add, it is not as large as Alice, but size is not everything. And
Don't want it that large. I couldn't do the conference,
there's
so,
something to be said for personalized connections and relationship building. But I will say this: whoever's listening and is interested, go get registered quick, because it will sell out. It has sold out in the last 2 years, and it will sell out this year again. So don't miss out on this.
We're hoping.
Yeah.
So, and I suspect it will be based on the last 2 years and the experience I think everyone walked out with.
Yeah.
Thank
I would
you,
be
guys.
hard pressed for people not to want to come back and.
It's a top-notch conference. Yeah, it absolutely is. Top-notch people,
Right.
top-notch conference, great content.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think the panelists that are there will pretty much echo the sentiment that I've shared in the beginning here. I think everyone's looking for continued strong markets, albeit at a little bit softer pace, as far as RevPAR growth.
Right.
The numbers are there. I will give the flip side to that also is that there is concern of rising labor costs, cost of materials for development, being able to get people that are free to do development if you're looking for that, the onset of more union influences on deals. That is a ongoing concern. One of the interesting quotes I heard at Ellis was from someone saying, you might be better off in certain markets buying a product that's already union as opposed to buying one that's threatened by union, because at least you know what's on the table.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that an interesting reflection of adjustment, right? It's amazing how that people are already adjusting to that reality.
Yeah, and I think it's coming more and more for better or worse, whatever your view on it is. It's something that you need to take into consideration as you look at properties.
I have a question for the two of you, because you guys attended Ellis and I didn't. What was something that surprised you? Was there anything that surprised you at all this year?
Not really. I think, with having someone like Rod, who's part of the show, keeping us updated, and various other, media sources that you and I deal with on a regular basis, I agree. I think the fundamentals are sound. I think, we're still in a good situation. Now, are we going to have RevPAR growth? It's going to be slow. But, I think I think demand is still, and Rod, please correct me if I'm wrong, but, I feel that, demand is still outpacing, what we've got on the market right now and supply-wise. So I think we're in a pretty good situation. I think you're going to see more capital, coming back into this country, especially from the EU. I think we're already seeing that out of Germany, and they're going to be looking for assets to buy. So yeah, I think we're barring anything, a black swan event of something that's it's not on the horizon yet, but I think we're in pretty good shape. Wouldn't you agree, Rod?
Yeah, and I think a testament to that, if you follow the local publications, the Orange County Register came out this morning and was showing how Disney numbers are way up. They had record attendance. And if Disney's doing that, well, that's just a reflection then on what the hotels must be doing in the immediate area. And further support for all that new development that's coming in around Anaheim that a lot of people are concerned about, which I, for one, have been a real advocate that the new inventory is not going to impact occupancy.
Great.
And for that matter, it's probably going to continue to help drive ADR, because the quality of the product that's coming in and the cost to construct is going to dictate that they're going to have to charge slightly higher rates for their rooms. But rising tides, the old cliche, rising tides lift all ships.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And so with what's happening there, I think that's just a good indicator probably for the entire Southern California economy that we're still the Diamond Jubilee destination for the world. And whether, if you're coming all this way from across the United States to visit Disneyland, it's not too far of a stretch to imagine that you're going to extend your trip either to San Francisco or San Diego and enjoy the different amenities that are there. So,
or LA.
Last time I looked, there was only one location, a Millennium Falcon landed, right? The new Star Wars land.
Hey, Rod, would you tell our audience how they can get a hold of you, please?
Yeah, you can reach me at my name, Rod.Apodaca at cbre.com. That's ROD.A, P as in Paul, ODACA at cbre.com. Email's probably right now the best way to reach me. With some of the activity, getting me on the phone has been quite difficult, and I do respond to all my emails. You can also go to our webpage at cbre.com and look me up there under personnel. And again, we can help you with everything from your small budget hotels to full-service hotels to land development deals. We are a full-service company. We can help you with debt, equity, construction, budgets, feasibility work, and obviously my strength is on the transaction side. So thanks for the ability to give the plug, Craig, and look forward to hearing from any of the listeners at any time.
Definitely. Thank you, Rod. And, I think you're scheduled to be on the show on the 6th, the day before the conference. I know you and your team will be at the VIP Mixer that night, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at Click, my friend. Thank you very much for being a sponsor of
Thanks,
Check
Rod.
Out California.
Great, gentlemen. Have a great afternoon.
You as well.
Take care. And we are going to continue and run a little bit longer with our in-studio guest, Tracy, and pick up that conversation again. So, Rod, thank you again for being a part of the show, and we will see you soon.
I just want to preface something. I asked you what surprised you guys, and your answer was, no, nothing really surprised me because you, listening to Check Out California, and the guests that we have on here, you're informed.
I listen to them all the time. I listen to all of our
So I'm
guests.
giving a
Well,
plug to the show.
Yeah, there
Listen
you
to
go.
Check Out California, and then you won't be surprised. See, you're not going to be surprised about your ADA anymore because you're just
right.
listening to Tracy here.
That's
So,
right.
So get the content where you need it. Check Out California.
We're a great source of content.
Twice a month
Twice a
on
month.
OC Talk Radio.
See, the other thing is too is that I'm not, and Tracy, excuse me, I'm just going to take a minute
No worries.
to go over this. This year's Alice conference was very refreshing for me. I've been to every one since its inception. I'm taking it back. I missed one because of surgery one year.
Yeah.
But I go
how
back
dare
to,
you.
yeah, exactly. And they didn't give me a comp for the next year, which I do at Click, but that's another question.
You better give him a clown next year.
But, I go back to when it was the UCLA conference. And, Alice has always been, I've been working for somebody else.
Oh, in your
And-
capacity, you've
yeah.
always been representing somebody else
Yeah.
you worked for.
So this year, I got to go as representing myself,
And the conference.
the show, and the conference. And it was exceedingly refreshing. Now, the other thing is, and you've known this for the past, couple, 3 years at least, that I have been refocusing and not really looking at the national picture as much. I'm staying just in the
Local.
confines of two of my favorite states, California and Hawaii. That's it. Okay. Now, there's always an argument to be made for going to Seattle, possibly Arizona, but I kind of doubt it. I'm not, they give me water. If I've got sand, I want water.
You need
Okay.
water. Yeah.
But so I've always used Alice as the final proof for my business plan and the modeling I'm going to do that year for any adjustments and tweaks, what I hear from a view from the top, from the lenders and this and that. But not so much this year, because again, I'm just focusing on California. So
Well, and you're getting your information
Yeah.
from a different
Yeah.
perspective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of the friends of the show, Paul Hughes at Orange County Business Journal. Okay, he's the editor now. Okay, and they've got a new beat reporter covering hospitality. So it's just
Well, your focus
it's
is
good to be
different, so
me.
it's
What can I
interesting,
say?
yeah.
It's good to be me.
I have nothing to add to that. And if I did, he wouldn't let me.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's true. That's true.
But let's go back to Tracy.
Yes, let's
because
go back to Tracy.
We were starting to go down a path of why these services are not only justifiable but smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And we were talking about timing of when you bring these services into play.
Yes.
Right? Everything is a collaborative process. There's a team that's usually involved on this, small, medium-sized, or large projects.
Right.
Different industries where this is applicable. And like anything else, there's always competition for attention and resources, money, basically.
Is that noise?
Huh?
Is that noise?
That's noise, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's cacaphony.
Yeah. There.
Cacophony.
Cacophony
You were
of
looking for a
content. Yes, that was
cacophony
it.
of content.
Yes.
Okay, that's another one he likes of mine, so go ahead. Use it. But really, it always comes down to this. There's competing interests on every project, call it engineering, documentation, oversight, project management, owner's representative, consultants, all the consultants especially. There's competition. So to try to justify bringing in something that we are basically deeming critical
Right.
early enough
Yeah.
and plan for it and hold onto those monies to bring somebody in and not just basically squander them on, oh my God, we underestimated the tile quantity that we need to basically take money and reassign it.
Yeah.
Because the alternative to that, and I want you to talk about this, Tracy, is what happens when now we are about to open
Right.
and we are waiting for that final inspection.
Okay.
And we are all gung-ho, and we've sent out our collateral material, and the opening party, and the
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce has been invited, and the City Council has been invited, and the ribbon and the big scissors are in somebody's office. And then, on that final inspection, what happens?
So if it's a final inspection,
This
which
is a real situation that happens all the time.
This is a real situation, and we often get the call at that point, which is unfortunate because
Way late.
now they're wanting me to look at, or our inspectors to look at, the business as it's already built. And you cringe when you walk in and you see that construction is done and it's beautiful.
And you're going to be the bearer of bad news.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because they didn't call us before that. It's much easier for us to erase on paper and say, no, don't do that, than it is for us to say, oh, no, you need to really take down that wall, or you didn't make the aisle there big enough and you built, some
Are
sort of
you seeing a
tunnel.
lot of that on new construction?
On new construction, yes.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
Well, you have a busy
Yeah,
market.
but-
You have a lot of people busy, and you may not necessarily have the skill set required overseeing these things. Very easily, a thing that is missed dominoes into a final product that has to be majorly costly adapted.
yeah,
or
but I
adjusted.
gotta, I gotta push back on that a little bit because, okay, if I'm building a brand new hotel, okay, and I've got a flag, I've got everything else in there, and this is coming up at the 11th hour,
Right.
okay,
Oh, you're
I
hungry.
want somebody's freaking head on a platter, okay,
And you know,
I'm not politically correct, but that's about as politically correct as I'm going to be on that.
Right.
Find the paper trail that puts the blame on anybody particularly.
So,
Oh, I know who I'm pointing the finger at.
well, you'll look at the contractor. The contractor's going to say the city
No,
signed
it's
off
not.
on it.
It's not
right?
the contractor. I'm not going to the contractor. I'm not going to the
So who are you
contractor
going
on
to?
that. I'm going to another group that did all the submittals, came up
All
with
the
all the
design,
plans.
all the architect.
That's where I'm going. I didn't
Yeah.
say that. I did not say that because I do have architects that are very good friends of mine
could be
and
stru-
designers,
could be
and
structural
they're part of my
engineers.
conference.
It could be the processing.
Yeah, it could be a lot of people.
could be a
Now,
lot of people.
I can see that in a building that's 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, 100 years old. But
Ground
with
up, I've
all
seen it.
the eyes looking at a ground up construction project, and this is happening on a regular basis.
Yes.
Now, okay, I could almost understand it if these people were all new.
No.
And they were coming out of, say, and again, my field of expertise is hospitality, okay? What I know by choice on every other asset class, you could put on the head of a pin and you could still have room left over, okay?
Right.
When I got out of doing the rest of commercial real estate, I jettisoned all that data. Now I can still remember freaking scenes from screenplays that I wrote in another life that were bought, and I can't seem to get rid of that. But everything with commercial real estate, other than hospitality, I got rid of somehow. But I mean, you always want to try and give somebody a break and bring somebody in, and maybe this is, the right.
So
thing
you're
to
saying
do.
it's based on seasoning.
I think it is.
Well-
Lack of.
Well, I'll give you another scenario. We are a very busy, dynamic economy right now, and there's a lot of people
Claiming to do things that they don't.
But not only that, there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that are operating on this principle,
Yeah.
which in some people's heads is smart business. I'm going to do the most I can in terms of capacity with the least assets that I basically can allocate. That means I'm going to source out
Right.
my CAD drawings.
Ouch.
I'm going to source out my
Ouch.
documentation.
And out
because
of state.
And out of state, and out of
There we go.
or out of country.
Or out of country.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will tell you, I know from personal experience of a hotel in Texas being done where the documentation for that and the redlining is happening in another country.
That's right.
But isn't that your buddy's hotel?
No, it's not my buddy's.
He's the
He's going to get you in
senator
trouble.
for
No,
yeah.
that's not my buddy's
The one that
hotel.
looks
Don't
like,
try to get me in
he
trouble.
was on the Munsters?
No, that's your friend. That's not mine. Okay, but the funny thing is that you see it all the time.
I do.
And it's worse when everybody is supposedly busy because they're still operating that 10-person team, but doing 3 times as much volume and putting all that on people's workload, and there's only so many hours in a day.
Right.
And so in those conditions, the only smart thing you can do is have multiple checkpoints.
Right.
And multiple people looking at it so that it doesn't get missed. But that's really
Absolutely.
all you can do. And so a CASP, specialist coming in is that one additional layer.
Right.
And that cost is so minimal compared to what it will cost you to repair the mistake.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With your back to the
Always is.
wall in the 11th hour, with so much more, hanging on you fixing it and getting approved and getting your finals and basically opening your doors for business.
Right. Absolutely. And the stress.
And
because,
the additional cost of stress. Yeah.
So yeah, I would love for them
Wow.
to contact us
Yeah.
at that point, but it is often that we walk in when they're, we're opening next week, please come in, and
Yeah.
then when we find things, then they're frustrated and mad, and that's where I have to give them the big
You-
hug
you know-
and the verbal hug and get them through it. But it's unfortunate at that point because now it's just costing.
Trish-
Now they do see me as spending money.
Yeah,
it's-
well,
it's-
you know what?
it's funny.
The upside with you is, if you've got somebody that has brought you in at the 11th hour, and there are all these dramatic problems. Okay, you've now ingratiated yourself. You've shown them what they need to do and how to do it to a degree. Gone back, and you've become part of their team moving forward.
That's correct.
So now you're on the front end, and when I was with a general contractor, it was always about, get me your PIP, get me this, get me that on the front end. Let's take a look at it. We'll give you some ballpark figures and what
Right.
we've seen,
Allowances,
for, scraping the ceilings and, going from tubs to showers, and when ADA's being, for physical things that it needs to come into play. But it just, I just can't fathom how many new projects, this is hitting that, somebody should have known better.
No, I'm telling you, I think it goes back to that human condition. I don't want to look at. I'm a business owner. I do not want to look at where I may be in non-compliance for ADA. So I am going to just put my blinders on, and I'm not going to even explore with an expert what my condition may be.
Right.
Here I am. I'm a builder. I am a property developer. I'm building this thing, and I have basically don't want to even look there. I just have so much to focus on. Here's the advice: find out what a CASP can do for you. Find out in the beginning. Know
Correct.
and be armed with information so that when you start seeing red flags, you can immediately bring that into bear, even if you did not do it from the beginning. Rather than
Absolutely.
find out of what do I need to do? And that is too late already.
It's already too late.
It's too late.
Every day you are not operating is a day that is costing you money.
Yes. And when
Absolutely.
it comes down to, the developer and the builders and money is it, and I'd rather save you a whole bunch that you can spend somewhere else putting in some, pretty details.
Grand
that you
opening
want,
party.
Right.
Yeah, because things always open on
The
time,
important
right?
stuff.
I mean, that's my point. Is why do things not always open on time? There's always a reason. Don't let this be one more reason of why they don't
Absolutely.
open on time.
Very good.
To the detriment of, the community, the construction community, is the program is fairly new.
Yeah,
So
it's
a lot of people don't know about it, which is why I appreciate, you guys inviting us here to tell, everyone about the program and what it can do for them, and that it does exist. There's so many architects and builders that don't even know that our business exists.
The fact that you would actually do the report and it would actually shield you, even if you had to dish out money from the size of what that would be in terms of dollars and cents. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know that until you told me a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the panel. And again, a plug for the show. Listen to Check Out California, and the likelihood of you not being surprised is higher than being surprised at every turn.
Be proactive even when you're building. I mean, be proactive
you have
and
to
know
be, yeah.
know what you're going to have to as your
Yeah, but
existing
I've-
business. Be proactive and find out what your your vulnerability is.
Informing yourself in this day and age when things are moving so fast and things are so competitive is not a luxury that you do when you have some time.
Right.
It is something you schedule on your calendar on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
If you
Isn't that
are a
called
smart
team
person.
meeting, project meeting.
It's an individual thing that everybody should take ownership of. Because,
Yes.
again, like I said, if you're counting on your team to catch those things that are not correct,
Yeah.
and you're not putting that on yourself as another set of eyes, you may not have enough checks and balances in the system.
Right?
You're right. Well, Paul has given me the high sign. We
Is that what the
need
sign was
to-
that he gave you?
Well, it was the middle finger, but I'm just I'm trying to clean it up a little bit. So we've got to wrap this up. Tracy, thank you for being here today. I hope you can attend the California Lodging Investment Conference.
I will be already signed up.
Great. I think you can find a bunch of new clients there, and it's we've got some exciting shows. We're about ready to finish our second season. I think we're actually finishing our second season the day before Click, and we will have probably 2 guests in the studio that day. One of them being H.P. Patel. He is the current chairman of AHOA. He is flying in earlier that day, so I'm still working on that, but now that I've committed us to that, so
It's gonna happen.
we'll see what happens. And then we have a motivational speaker that will probably be in here as well. That was one of the gentlemen who helped IHG get to the level they're at as with their franchising in the Western United States, and then he retired to become a motivational coach.
Very cool.
So, and we're going to keep that under wraps because
that's
his
cool.
name I
That's
still
cool,
need
yeah.
to I still need to get him confirmed. So, Tracy, thank you very much for making the drive up from San Diego
Indeed.
today. We will share this link so that you can blast this out to all of your friends, neighbors, family members, clients, and
Thank you.
so on. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you on March 7th at Click.
Absolutely.
And we will be back later this month.
I do want to remind everybody also that was listening that reach out to Tracy also regarding this thing with the websites.
Yeah.
Yes.
Website. If you're alive and breathing, you have a website. If you're
Tracy,
a
why
business,
don't you give him your contact
give him the
information?
contact information, please.
Sure. You can reach me by email at Tracy, Tracey, at adacertified.com. So it's Apple David Apple certified.com, or you can always go to our website. It has a lot of information that will be helpful at www.adacertified.com.
You could give them your husband's cell phone number.
I
and,
could.
He can get calls day and night. So,
Yes, I could.
Is that okay, Roger?
Roger's been sitting off camera
Yes,
just making sure that
yes.
we behave ourselves. How did we do, Roger?
Did we do okay?
We did great? Okay, good.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today and tell about our
Thanks for
company.
joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Aloha.
Thank you for being our guest today on Checkout California. We look forward to having you as a guest with us again in 2 weeks. Until then, you can always reach us through our Checkout California Facebook page or by emailing us at checkoutcalifornia@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. So do let us know what you think of the show and what areas of interest you'd like to see us cover in the future. Your feedback is very important to us as we continue to bring you the best hospitality our Golden State has to offer. Until next time, may all your days be filled with sunsets and palm trees. Now, go experience and check out California.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything: your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
Imagine buying a newspaper and discovering that the news you're reading is 6 months old. There isn't much that stays the same for 6 months, and the same thing goes for background checks. In a time when so much outdated information is being passed around, it's good to know that People G2 offers something different. At People G2, we provide today's intelligence, not yesterday's news. Our value-added approach offers you a fully FCRA-compliant solution that includes up-to-the-minute information, By combining industry-leading technology with old-school human investigation, People G2 is able to give you information that is accurate right now, delivered quickly through our online system or integrated with your HR system. So ask yourself, are you comfortable